madness on I-95, as you guys all know at this point this week. From this backup stretched all the way from D.C. down nearly to Richmond. I mean, this was
90 miles.
It was 80, 90 miles of cars totally stuck on icy roads during this snowstorm. This really got to me because I was just imagining. First of all, I have driven this stretch of 95 thousands and thousands of times in my life. This is, around my area where I grew up and where I drive into the city and all of that stuff. So I knew exactly all the pictures that were coming out, where they were, and what a terrible situation ultimately they must have been in. And of course, people were really mad because they were like, how does this happen? I mean, yeah, it was a bad snowstorm, but DC and Virginia get a foot of snow on a fairly regular basis.
Every couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, there's probably 3-4 years ago that we had one this bad. This is not a once in a lifetime kind of a situation. And people were stuck there. Not only are they stuck there, getting no information, getting no help, no one reaching out to make sure your kids are safe or that you're not starving or any of that for more than 24 hours. Pure insanity. So what was the response of the governor to this total breakdown of the state? Oh, naturally, to blame the drivers. Let's put this up on the screen. Ralph Northam blames the drivers for getting on I-95. No apologies for what was obvious government failure. We gave warnings, and people need to pay attention to these warnings. And the less people that are on the highways when these storms hit, the better. Look. That may be true, but to let yourself off the hook for abandoning these thousands of people in a very dangerous situation with temperatures dropping down into the teens at night.
Overnight.
People running out of gas. People don't have food. People don't have sufficient clothing and they're freezing in their cars. This is insane. And what they said is that, the problem was that since the storm started as rain and sleet and then shifted to snow, we didn't pre-treat the roads at all because it'd just be a waste of the resources and it ultimately get washed away. And I have no doubt that the fact that it started as rain complicated the situation, but surely this is one of the busiest stretches of highway in the entire country and certainly on the East Coast. You have to at least put some stuff down and hope some of it sticks there because that was the issue is once people got stuck, then everything was just complete ice. And even if they cleared out the tractor trailers that had jackknifed at the front of the lineup and whatever, people really still couldn't move because it was so incredibly icy. So what a complete disaster and failure ultimately.
It was a massive failure. Senator Tim Kaine, we'll put this up there on the screen, he was on the road for 27 hours. He was stuck there. And the tales that I started to hear and have read about from some of these people is truly dystopian. There was a couple that had not eaten in 30 hours that was stuck behind a truck. And they noticed that the truck had bread in it. It had a bread delivery thing on the side. So they called the customer service line and he ended up getting a call back from the CEO of the company who was put me on the phone with the driver, and he did. And he's opening it up and give food to everybody else.
Really?
Who's out there. It was a very nice story.
Okay,
so
that's a
this
nice
couple, they went, but he shouldn't have to do that. It should be the government. So they had to call his CEO calls, opens up
One
the
of
truck.
those heartwarming, child raises money for cancer.
So, this couple, they're going out, they're handing out bread. Everybody's very thankful. But I didn't know this. In Boston, apparently this once happened in the 1980s. People died in their cars because they fell asleep and their exhaust pipes actually got snowed over. And people died of carbon monoxide poisoning while they were
I didn't even
sleeping.
think about that.
I know, it's totally nuts.
Wow.
And, people were, Tim Kaine said he would sleep where he would turn his car on for 10 minutes, go to sleep, turn it off in order to save gas, then sit there for another 20, 30 minutes, wake up because it was freezing cold, and turn it on again. I mean, this is just a complete nightmare of a situation. There was a reporter from Miami who was actually stuck in the middle of all this. And listen to him describe this. I think it was around hour 16, where he had not even seen a single representative, like a cop, state, anybody. Take a listen to this.
Good morning from Interstate 95. The sun got up about, maybe about 45 minutes ago. I've been stuck just south of Quantico, Virginia, on I-95 for at least 15 hours. I've been in the car for 20 hours, and there is absolutely no sign that this is going to change anytime soon. This is a complete parking lot, I-95, and the road is just nothing but ice. Now, I don't know who's in charge, but somebody better do something, because there are cars and families just trapped here this entire time, and nobody seems to be I haven't seen a state trooper in at least 12 hours. That's the last time I saw a trooper. I haven't seen a tow truck in at least 14 hours. There is nothing moving on Interstate 95. It is a parking lot.
Wow.
I can't even
I
imagine.
felt so bad for people who had kids.
Kids and even dogs. Some people have their dogs.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's one thing, like, if you as an adult have to, I mean, it's horrible to go a day without eating, but you're going to be okay. But for kids,
they start to melt down.
Terrible. And, you know, people having to go to the bathroom. Like, this is just absolute nightmare. And look, I get it. It was challenging circumstances, but there was nothing you could do. You don't have any regrets about how the situation was handled. And then, if nothing else, totally inexcusable that people were getting no information whatsoever. Everybody's got their cell phones there. You can send out a message. You can geocode it to the people who are in that area. They didn't do any of that, any of it. It just astonishes me that there's not any more sort of like, you know, apologies forthcoming about creating this very dangerous nightmare for people. I was also thinking about, you know, people who were having a medical issue. I mean, ambulances trying to get through.
Insulin. There's all kinds of these examples.
Exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, it's very, very dangerous and life-threatening situation. I saw Tim Kaine say, you know, at first, it just feels like this very frustrating, annoying situation. And then you sort of have to flip into like survival mode.
No, literally.
Figure out how you're going to actually get through this. So, you know, thank God it's cleared now, but wow, no responsibility taken here whatsoever.
Yeah.
Pretty amazing.
Well, we don't want to miss the one most terrible media take of all time.
Oh, yeah. I insisted on this one being
Dana
the show.
Perino on Fox News has an interesting reason as to why exactly the police were not able to get the situation under control. Let's take a listen.
I want to point out one thing that I do not believe has been said yet. I talked to a state legislator there in Virginia, and he pointed out to me that in the last several years, many on the left made a decision that local sheriffs should not be allowed to have military-grade equipment, right? Because they said that that was a bad symbol and that it was too militaristic and authoritarian. But imagine if they were still allowed to have the equipment that they had just a few years ago, it probably would have come in very helpful today.
What equipment? What are you talking about?
Like,
which military
elaborate.
equipment clears the snow?
What exactly are you suggesting here?
As Ryan Grimm put it, yeah, the one thing Northern Virginia is really missing is military equipment.
Yeah, home to the Pentagon.
They're actually
every
fine.
Defense contractor.
As you also pointed out, right on I-95 is Quantico, which is like a massive Marine Corps base, so they could have if they wanted to. Actually, a criticism of the governor is he did not mobilize the National Guard, which he should have immediately in order to try and help these people. So I don't know what the hell these people are thinking.
Yeah, I mean,
what are the dumbest? It's just
perfect.
Like, what are you saying?
Perfect.
Do you understand?
Right, and there's no follow-up of like, okay, what equipment and what would you do with it? How would that help the situation? Yes. And there's even totally vague about whether it's even true that these police departments don't have military.
Yeah, I don't even know that to be true.
Point.
I have no idea. So
anyway, good example of the way that partisan brainworms just rot people's minds, and it's allowed to run rampant on these cable news channels.
A fitting way to end our coverage on January, or at least our main coverage on January 6th.
Hey guys, thanks so much for watching.
That's right. Just as a reminder, you can become a premium subscriber today. Watch the full show completely uncut, our reactions to each other's monologues. You get to listen to it. You get to ask us questions, all that good stuff. Link is right there in the description or at breakingpoints.com.
Best of all, great way to say screw you to the mainstream media.